Hello, I'm glad you're here this evening. Today we have a wonderful guest, Dana Weaver, and we would like for you to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Share this show with others on the journey of life, love, and lesson. I'm Jim, and this is my wonderful wife, Carla.
Yes, and we are so glad to have Dana Weaver with us today. She's an incredible woman, incredible story, and it's going to be such an inspiration to so many people that are struggling with this topic that she's going to talk about. And we're going to let her share a little bit more about that as well. But it is such an honor to have her with us, and we've got to know each other a little bit. And as Dana goes through the story, we want you to get to know her a little bit as well. So I want to read a little bit about her bio before we get started. So Dana Weaver, she has received her bachelor's degree in business management from Kansas State University and a master's in nonprofit administration from Mid-American Nazarene University. She lives in Topeka, Kansas with her husband, two girls, and two fur babies. Can't forget those fur babies. We got some fur grandpuppies. So we claim them too. So it is such an honor to have you here today. And yes, we just love your heart. We love your smile. You just brighten up the room. And so we are so honored to have you here with us. So, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm super honored to be here as well. I'm looking forward to having the conversation, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you.
Yeah. So what is a little bit about your beginning story? So, all of us have a journey, and that's what the name of the show is, because we all have journeys that I think can inspire other people. So kind of share a little bit about your beginning part of your journey.
Sure, I will. So I got married fairly, well, not super late, but kind of late in life. I got married when I was 30. And I had a plan. I was going to get married, and shortly after that, we were going to get pregnant. And I had a great career at the time, and we just had all of our ducks in a row. And we're really looking forward to building a family and just enjoying life together. My husband was a pastor at the time, and we just had our church family surround us with love, and we're ready to see us grow, honestly.
Yes.
And so we started about, I don't know, a year after we got married, we started trying for children, and we just hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is commonly known as PCOS. Mm-hmm. And so that makes it difficult to get pregnant in the first place. And so we knew that after I was diagnosed with that it would take a little bit of time, but we didn't realize the length of time it would take and the struggles that we would go through to actually become parents.
Right.
So that's kind of the origin part of our story. But
yeah, and sometimes our plan is not always going on track, right? I mean, because like in our mind, especially little girls are growing up, teenagers, like you just got this fairy tale marriage, you got this fairy tale plan that's going to happen, and sometimes it don't happen. So that kind of shows a little bit and kind of makes us stronger. I think it makes us kind of like, okay, well, this ain't happening, so now what do we do? So it kind of helps you to step into a next part of your journey, and not always easy, to do that, and it's not always the best things you want even to deal with yourself. So I'm sure there was struggles, even in your mindset, maybe that, that created, like doubt, was this ever going to happen? So kind of like, what was a little bit about your next step in this journey?
Yeah. So definitely the mindset really got to me during that time. I had a very good relationship with God, and I prayed a lot, and through every single step, I would pray, and I would just feel him saying, not yet, not yet. I have a plan for you, but just not yet. Stay patient. Right. And I knew that I needed to learn patience in that process, but all the while, I had a fairly high profile job for me, maybe not for the general population, but I was around a lot of people all the time. I was doing a lot of public speaking, and I had a lot of people asking me, when are you guys going to have kids? Or apparently I looked pregnant a couple of times, and so people would say something. And they didn't do it on purpose to hurt me, but it does hurt. For anybody struggling with infertility, it can cut you like a knife, and it makes you feel very isolated. And my husband felt isolated. There's not a lot of conversation out there about how the husband feels in all of this.
Right.
And he was worried that he was a problem until we found out that he was not. And he was very quiet. He didn't do a lot of communicating about how he felt until something would happen. So we would be walking down the street or hanging out with friends, and one of the little kids would scream, "Daddy, come here," or "Mommy, come here." And you could see it just cut him to the core. And it hurt me as well. But knowing that he was hurting and I felt like I was causing that, really, it was very difficult for me.
Right.
And I wasn't sure how to just show up in life, honestly. And I would pray about it, but I wouldn't take the time to listen. I heard the be patient, but that was about it.
It's
And
like,
so
I'm
you
ready
been through that?
Hurry
how
up.
about tomorrow?
Yep. And how many times have you heard the timeline for God is not the timeline for us? And you know that I've known that my entire life, but I had that plan, and I was gonna try to work it as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I really had to take stock in all the feelings that I was having around that time. Family members were having babies, and my brother got married, and then they started to have kids, and then my husband's sister got married and they started to have kids, and we just felt like we were, just behind the 8 ball, and we weren't really able to show up. And the thing that really, now that I look back over it, that surprises me the most is how we felt invisible to people. Because when you don't go through the struggle, you really don't understand how the people are feeling.
Right.
And when they would talk about babies, or when babies would come along and there would be the baby showers, or I remember one Christmas at my husband's family, they brought the cradle out for the second baby of my sister-in-law's second baby. And it was just right there at the Christmas tree. And it was great for them. It was a great, setting for them. And I was so happy for them, but also was super sad for myself and my husband. And it just, I don't know, that moment just really struck me as we might never have kids.
Right.
So the mindset that you have to go through is to learn to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And realize, and people, you have to tell your story. And that's something I didn't do. I suffered in silence. You have to tell your story, and you have to tell people how you're feeling. And it might, in today's world, well, let me back up. 5 or 10 years ago, telling your story was kind of taboo. Now that infertility is more mainstream, if you will, or more people know about it, it's a little bit easier to tell your story and feel comfortable saying, I'm not going to attend that baby shower, or I'm not going to attend whatever, child's birthday or whatever. It's more comfortable to do that now. But back then it really felt like I was intentionally trying to hurt someone. And I felt like the most horrible person. I felt evil on the inside. Like I was trying to hurt other people. And some people kind of treated us like we were trying to hurt them because we couldn't experience the full joy that they were experiencing. But we did have really good friends that walked along the path with us. And at one point I did get pregnant, and we were super happy, but we were afraid to tell anybody, and lost the baby early. And then after that, we didn't know that we were ever pregnant again, but the doctor would tell me that we were probably getting pregnant every time, but my body wasn't keeping the baby. And so who knows how many times we were pregnant.
Right.
I just keep thinking that day that I get to go to heaven, I think I'm going to be surprised about how many little kids are there, or whatever they're going to look like. And I can't wait to meet them.
Yes. You're going to have a whole crew up there waiting on you. They're going to be running to you. Hey, mama. Yeah, that's part of the joy, right? Of being able to look forward to that day. But I love that, you talk about the mindset, and you talk about how, you dealt with it yourself. And a lot of times, I believe, the devil wants you to be in isolation. And I think that's his key. If he can keep you in isolation, even if it's between a spouse or if it's between friends or family, I mean, because what happens? You get all these things goes in your head, like, well, they're thinking this of me, or they're thinking that of me. And you're keeping all that inside and you're just swirling around all the guilt, the shame, or like, they're down on me, or, they're talking about me. And communication, I believe, opens that up. And I think it releases, the tactics that the devil can have on you, because once you open up, like half that stuff's not even true. It's like what if, most of those what ifs are not going to happen. So I believe when we communicate, like you're saying, maybe when you hear somebody else, hollering dad and mom to somebody else, you feel that pain. But to share that pain other than that would be something that could help you to help people to realize that it can help you go through that pain. Maybe, I don't know about easier, but maybe, more comfort between the two. I think that's what it would be. So I believe,
Feeling like you're not alone.
yeah, yeah. Because I believe, you do feel like you're alone. You're like, why is everybody else experiencing this joy of having children when God, I'm serving you? Or why is this happening? Because I desire children, and it's not happening. I know you can. And that's one thing as Christians, we know he can. We know he can do
Yeah.
anything. So that's like, but I want children. Why am I not? And everybody else is experiencing. And it can, it's, I've never had experienced that. And I can't say I know how you feel, but, the people that's watching, I'm sure there's people who are going through that and they feel like they're withdrawn. They feel like, why is this happening to me? Why am I so alone in this journey? Because, everybody else seems to have their children. And some people, they abort the children and like, I want children. I want them and I can't have them. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would think that would be such a like nightmare in your head, just all the reasons, why is this happening? What's going on? So, how was your faith in this? I mean, I know you say you believe in God and God was talking to you. So how important was that faith in you during this journey?
Today, if I didn't have my faith
Yeah.
and I didn't have that ongoing conversation and prayer time, I don't want to give the thought that I was praying every day, all day for this, because there were times when I was angry and I wasn't praying. I would go on, when you're in a situation like I was with PCOS, one of the first things that your doctor tells you is you have to lose weight and you have to exercise more, as if that is magically going to fix everything. And so I did. I worked on that and I lost weight and all the things. And when I was on walks, I would pray sometimes and I would just say, look, maybe I'm just not a good enough person to be a mom. If I do this, if I try to fix this part of my life, maybe that's what we're holding out for and that's what will make me a mom. And it just never really, it never happened. It just never happened, obviously. And then we were in the process of getting ready to adopt. We had started to go through that process thinking, okay, if we ever do have kids, that's fantastic. But there's tons of children out there that we could adopt and that need a good home. So we started to work with a couple of agencies, one here and one in a different state, and wanted to adopt an infant. And we went through the classes and we're getting ready to go through the whole program. And my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I knew that she had a lot that she needed to go through, and I wanted to be there for her because she was always there for me. And she did the dance back and forth between my brother's family and me, and she just never really knew. She never knew how to act for either one of us, to be honest with you. And I always felt bad about that. And so I wanted to just be there for her. And so we were on the wait list and we waited, to see if we would be matched with someone, and went through that whole process. And her cancer progressed and she went through all of the like the chemotherapy, and then she had a mastectomy. So that was a huge operation that lasted like 12 hours. Sitting in the waiting room for 12 hours is a lot. You have a lot to think about. And she went through all of it like a trooper, but I also wanted to be there. And then the time came when she was cancer free, but there was a medicine that she needed to take for the rest of her life to be able to keep the cancer at bay. But what it did was it took her feeling out of her hands and her feet. It's called neuropathy. And she was on a walker and was getting ready to go into a wheelchair. And she just didn't feel like she was living life at all. She was just struggling with, trying to just navigate her home and navigate life. And she was still going to church and everybody was rallying around her. But at that moment, I realized I don't know how much longer I have with my mom.
Right.
And so I want to spend that time with her. I'll never regret spending that time with her. I can always be, we can always adopt later. And maybe miraculously through all of this, maybe I'll have a kid. Maybe we'll get pregnant. Something can happen. But I knew that I didn't want to have to get a call in the middle of everything and say you have a child and then try to have to figure out, all the things right in that moment. So anyway, long story short, my mom did end up passing away a couple of years later because she couldn't take that medication. And her last words to me were, I hope you get to be a mom and I love you.
Oh.
And I've carried that with me for, I don't know, I carried it with me for about 6 years.
Yeah.
Just always thinking about it. But a miracle happened one day where my husband and I were looking to bring in a new dog to the family. And we'd been looking on Pet Finder. And one day I came home from work and he's like, I found the perfect little girl for us. She's got red hair and all this things. I'm thinking, oh, cute little golden doodle or something. And he put the phone in front of my face. And it was actually the Adopt, and we're in Kansas, so Adopt Kansas Kids. And there was a beautiful little redhead that was staring back at me. And he's like, she just looks like you and she needs a home. And so we talked about it and we prayed about it. And I just we both felt led to go through the classes because you have to become a foster parent before you can adopt out of that system, out of the foster care system. And so we went through the classes and realized that fostering was kind of a better deal than we thought, meaning we could help a lot more people. And it wasn't we didn't think it was going to be as difficult as a lot of people say it was. And they talked about the need for families and all of the things. And we kind of felt ill-equipped because we didn't have the trauma training necessarily that we needed, but we decided to just keep going forward. So we passed the class and we did all the things and got licensed. And then we were able to ask about this little girl. And it turns out that she had been in like 19 foster homes and she was separated from her brother because she had such trauma in her past that she couldn't allow anybody to just love her. She had been all kinds of homes and it just broke our heart. And the social worker said, I don't think that this is the right thing for you all. She's not going to stay very long, and you are in the path, you want to be in the path of adoption. So we kind of mourned that because we'd been dreaming about this little girl for a while. And I remember telling God, gosh, how many times are you going to set us back before we can walk forward? And I just heard this thing in my head. It was like, just be still, Dana, just be still. I am God. I have this taken care of. And so I just, for the next several months, I was still. And we got a call that we needed to do some respite for a couple of girls that had just been taken into care. And so we agreed to do it. And we got to meet with them and they were absolutely adorable. The little one, I just connected with right away. And I honestly connected with both of them right away, but I like Disney princesses and so did the little one. And it was really exciting. And so we agreed to respite for them and thought that, that would be a great first step. And about a week before they were supposed to come stay with us, one of the ladies that was fostering them called and said, we can't do this anymore and we can't foster these girls. Would you be willing to take them? And I was just like, what? you know, here I was, I've been ready to, have kids in my home forever, but we weren't ready to get, or we weren't able to get ready in a week. But we did, and they came to live with us a week later, and they have been with us ever since. They've been with us for almost 4 years now, and their story is very sad and tragic, but the beauty of it is that they came to us a month before the pandemic. And you would think that would be, crazy to become parents right during the pandemic and all the things that happened with schooling from home and all that. But what it did for us is we did a lot of nature walks and all of the things that you could do during the pandemic away from people. And we bonded in a way that I don't think foster parents and children would get to bond.
Wow.
And because we were together all that time, and they needed somebody to be steady and to stick with them because they had not been in a steady situation for a long time.
Wow.
And we were that steady place for them. And they had lived in our home longer than they had lived anywhere else in their entire life. And one of them was 13 and one of them was 5.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so pretty soon after that, they started calling us mom and dad. And I didn't ask them to call us mom and dad. It just happened one day. And the little one said, "Mom, can you help me do something?" And I swear that the girls could have heard it. The Lord said, "See, you are a mom."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a beautiful thing. And being a foster parent is not easy. There's no two ways about it. There's a lot of struggles that we have, and you just never know what's around the corner next. But they are in my heart, and no matter whether we get to adopt them, because this has been a huge long process, we're not even there yet.
Wow.
But whether we get to adopt them or not, they are part of my heart, and I'll always get to be part of their lives because we've bonded that much.
Right.
And I should say my husband too. We're
That's
family unit
good.
here.
I'm glad he's bonding as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, something saying, "Be still, just wait." Like all the stuff that you've been through, you're like, prior to it, you're like, how long is it going to be?
Mm-hmm.
But, just hearing your story, I mean, it's that heart for being parents, for mom and dad.
Right.
And so then you have kids in foster, like you're saying, that go through a lot of trauma and things. But you're there and it sounds like you're seeing the evidence of where they were calling you mom and dad because they can see the heart that God has put in you to be parents.
Right.
And it's become so sincere, and children can see when they're right through,
right.
and parents, and they go in foster homes, I've never been in it and just hear of it. But, sometimes it's not the best situations. And, from their past experiences, then, God says, there's these 2 children for you. And that fills your heart. And then they're given, it sounds like to me that, they've experienced, wow, there's a mom and dad that, that really do love me.
Yeah.
No matter what I've been through, they really do love me.
Right.
And, and that's just awesome to hear that. And just to, I don't know, with kids, sometimes you teach them things, you show them things. You say, do I have impact on them? But then like hearing say mom and dad, you're like, wow, that just, anything you go through that's the biggest reward. Right. And when you're helping kids and to grow, the impact you have on their lives, and you sit back and look and see, that's got to be amazing. That's got, I guess the question, has that made you feel everything you've gone through worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the short answer. Yeah.
I was going to say, and because in the beginning, you're like, to talk about, how long, why, I can understand being angry and, want to isolate yourself. There's times when, in our lives, we want things we're going through, and God, where are you? And we want to be isolated, but seeing that, it's just awesome that you've done that and being able to get through this process. And the story you're sharing, you have to share with others and to impact others and give hope to others. I mean, have you been able to do that, with others, help them going through similar type situations?
I have. I've had the opportunity to talk with a lot of different women that are going through infertility, and my story or where we've ended up isn't always where they want to end up. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have thought at the beginning of our journey that I wanted to be a foster parent.
Right.
But every step that we went through, or every setback, every struggle that we went through, actually has been setting us up and making us stronger for what we're going through now.
Right.
And even when we go through the biggest struggles with the teenager, God just said, I didn't ask you to fix her. I asked you to love her. And you've got that in spades. Right. And so I remember that. I step back and I say, you know, if she makes a mistake, she'll have to suffer the consequences, but I still get to love her, and she gets to come home right. to someone who cares about her. Right. And so telling that story a little bit to women going through infertility really helps as well, because I can explain how, you know, every step or every setback that you go through can make you stronger if you look at it that way. And if you don't have someone from the outside helping to kind of flip the script a little bit or ask questions in a different way, instead of why me, why not me?
Right.
What's special about me that I can, you know, that I'm not having kids right now, or I'm not able to birth children. What is special about me, and what is that story that I can use to tell others to encourage them? Because 1 in 8 couples in America struggle with infertility.
Wow.
That's a very high number of people. And so just kind of not anecdotally, but just kind of through experience and connecting with people, we have become very you know, out there about our story. We'll tell our story because we know it can help other people. And that just kind of brings people into us, because somebody will say, I know somebody struggling with infertility. I think you need to talk to Dana and Jason. And so I've had that opportunity. But then I realized I started my own business this year. And it's all about leadership and workforce development and executive coaching for people who run aging services organizations. And what I kind of realized through that process was there's a lot of women who are in the workforce today that are trying to figure out how to show up to work with their infertility struggles. And in your personal life, when you feel invisible, you also feel invisible at work. And so I felt like there was a connection there that I could start helping women, professional women, but any woman in the workforce, because it happens no matter what job you have. Just how to give yourself the grace. And, you know, when somebody says something hurtful, like, oh, I see that you're gaining weight. Are you pregnant? You know, I remember that conversation, but I also remember I told the woman, I said, no, I'm not pregnant. But thank you for asking. And I hope to be pregnant one day.
Yeah.
And she apologized all over herself. She didn't realize what she was stepping into. But it made me realize in that moment that I really do need to start standing up for myself. And I started to stand up more for myself in the workplace at that point, and told people my story. So because I did that, and because I'm naturally a positive person, I like to look on the bright side of things, because I don't feel like if you're wallowing in all the negativity, or letting, you know, the devil get your mind over here and be isolated, I just don't think it does. I mean, I know it doesn't do anything good for us.
Right.
And so I choose to look on the positive side of things. And people are often surprised about that. Like, how can you be so gosh darn positive? I lost my job recently.
The alternative, right?
I lost my job recently before I started my business. And everybody around me, including my husband, was like, how can you be positive about this? And I'm like, this is the process God's having me go through. And I can be positive because I know that He has a plan for me. And I don't need to figure out the plans anymore, because it's very clear from my life that He's in charge and I'm not.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I love that you have that attitude, because, you know, we try to fix things, you know, in ourselves, and then we can mess things up, I think. And so if we just, you know, like you're saying, just to have that look that God has this in control, and he knows what the future holds. I mean, because he knew those beautiful little girls were coming your way, and that you needed to have your attention on them so you could love them. And so, just like the job situation, you have so much ahead of you that God has for you that you can't see yet. Like the song says, God's moving even when you don't feel it, when you don't see it. God is moving on your behalf. And so just to trust that, and that's a big step. Just to know that, okay, I have to step back and I got to trust something. I had no idea what's coming, but who better to be I call him, he's your event planner. He has all the events of your life in order. And if we just allow it to happen, and 1 in 7 people is crazy, that I didn't realize it was that high, but I mean, you have such a great business ahead of you that so many women are suffering in silence like you did. And you can relate to that, and they need you in their life. So, it's so wonderful to see that you still have that attitude and that so much greater things is ahead for you. And like you're saying, have a positive attitude, because, the alternative is just to be in misery and gloom and doom. It's like, then what? Then you're miserable for in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
not why we're here.
yeah, and being
Go ahead.
that positive, attitude that helps keep your morale up within yourself, and then that people around you are watching, and so I bet you're probably having people come to you and it's like, I know a little bit what you're going through, but you're so positive. How are you doing it?
Right.
How do you
Right.
keep that attitude?
Right.
And so when
It's
people are,
Jesus.
yeah, you're right.
Simple word, right?
and and so God gives us things to go through that people can relate to, and just
Right.
like you said, how are you doing this? Jesus. Well, maybe I need to know Jesus because
Yeah.
I'm messing everything up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's awesome,
Right.
that the impact that you're having on people,
Right.
even that smaller area, and using your talents and abilities to get to people that in the corporate world areas you're
Right.
talking about, and leaders and that kind of things, that they're human too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I know
Definitely.
we're getting ready to wrap up. It's been an honor to have you here. So I know there's going to be people who needs to get a hold of you, who wants to get a hold of you and stay connected with you. So how can they connect with you on your social media? Do you have some kind of event, challenge, or anything coming up, or books, or any kind of resources you want to share?
Well, I wish I had a book, but I don't yet. I probably will write my story at some point. But the only thing that on social media that I have specifically for infertility is on Instagram, and it's at infertility mindset. And so you can find me there. I started it a month ago, something like that. And so I do some posts on there. And then for my other business, it's for Weaver Solutions. And you can find me at www.weaversolutionsllc.com.
Oh, and we will put that in the comment section so people can get on there and click on that, and so they can connect with you even more. So, it's been an honor to have you here. It's been an honor to hear your story, to still see you're smiling, still positive in the midst of the struggles, of the silence, the pain that you've gone through for you and your spouse, but the plan that God had for you, to bring those beautiful young girls into your life. And even the ones that may have been in the house before, you may not realize it, but it still touched them, I'm sure, at some point. May not see it. It may not look evident at that time, but there's that seed sown. And so I believe you're doing the same thing for leaders and also for women who are desiring to have a child. And I believe that you're going to be a huge impact to so many lives because of what you have in your heart to share and your experiences that goes along with it. So it's been an honor to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been an honor to be here. And I'm so glad to know that you have this talk show and that you're sharing the stories of other people, because that's truly how we bring people to Christ, is to understand their struggles and how they get through it. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do love to be able to, and we say impact the lives together. And that's why we bring people, because you have a ministry, you have a leadership, a business that, you know, touches people that we can't. So we love to be able to impact people in any way we can, whether it's through you, you know, or through what we can do. You know, God has his people that is drawn to each one of us. And so we love impacting life together.
Yeah, you know, just like you're saying, you know, we think the things we go through are insignificant or anything
Right.
like that, but they're not.
No.
You know, we are big impacts to those around us,
Right.
and you know, just sharing your story, that's, you know, with us,
Yes.
it's awesome, and really encouraging, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We can make it through whatever it is with Jesus, and right
Right.
there with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we do wrap up, do you have any last words, you know, advice or wisdom or anything you'd like to share with our audience?
I would like to share just one thing for everybody to remember, that every one of us, I don't think there's a person in the world who hasn't gone through some type of struggle, regardless of what it is. But just remember, if you're here today and you're watching it, you have made it through 100% of your struggles. So remember that, and know that you can keep going and you can do it. And especially if you have the Lord on your side and you have the opportunity to pray, he will take care of you.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. You know, those great words. And I'm sure our viewers have been blessed to have you on here as well. So it's been an honor.
Yes, and you know, it's been wonderful, and hopefully everyone watching has been really impacted, and you know, from what Dana has been able to share with us today.
Right.
And you know, you'll be able to get with her, go to her Facebook website there, right? Our
Instagram.
Both Instagram and website,
yeah, website there, and then connect with her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you know, I know that she'd be able to inspire you as much as she's inspired us just today, right now. And you know, so we really enjoy you being on our show here, Journey Life, Love, and Lessons.
Yes.
And
yep, it's an honor to be here. So you can connect with us on to like, follow, share, and subscribe, because we are also on YouTube as well. So we want to impact as many lives as we can, and we know that Dana has an amazing story, amazing journey that can touch people. So invite others to go and check it out as well, so they can connect with her and, you know, learn all the wonderful ways in the heart that, you know, that she has learned in her experience, and that can help so many people. So we are here for you, and we thank you for watching the Journey of Life, Love, and Lessons, and we will talk to you soon.